true psychic reality. And here's an interesting quotation. So we talked about foreign correspondence, didn't we? Your internal foreignness, so when you think about yourself, if you think about yourself as strange or foreign or different, this is the unconscious. Yeah? So what you think about yourself, what you think is foreign or strange or different about yourself, changes how you attend to the world. It changes how you see other people. So the number one thing that we can change is ourselves. And then the whole world will shift. And it's just like a dream. It's like a lucid dream. So the existence of the unconscious places a barrier between the subject and its situation, witnessing, as well as between the subject and itself. So that's relating it to witnessing. Just a couple of very simple points about Freud and Marx that we've talked about on this course. Freud and Marx were very good cultural theorists about materialism. What Einstein did when he came along was that he realized that time and space are relative. They are not universal. They're not always objectively true. So he absolutely revolutionized how we understand time and space. And if you think that's weird, then have a think about, well, I'm going to introduce you to quantum theory as well. Quantum reality is the idea that at the smallest we can understand life, so at the cellular level of life, or if we even go smaller, if we talk about molecules and atoms, life is completely unpredictable at a quantum level, at the minuscule bottom level. We live in a macro world, yes? We are big. Our bodies contain worlds, literally. But if you get down to, if you drill down into life, and you look at cells and cell behavior and the smallest organisms, and go really small, that's quantum, it's absolutely unpredictable. It's wild, literally. Yeah? And I'll say why in a moment. Interestingly, talking about Einstein said everything is energy and that's all there is to it. So that links with Buddhism too. Match the frequency of the reality you want, your attention to the world, and you cannot help but get that reality. So it's if you believe that life is only about material objects, that's what the world will look like to you. If you believe there's no life after death, there is no life after death. Anyway, so I'm going to go to a clip now, so because I feel we're a bit theory heavy right now. So I want to introduce, I think I'll go to this one now. So has anybody heard of the idea of Schrodinger's cat? It's one of the key quantum theories. Yes? Tell us, give me some help. Try to explain. I'm going to show you a video. But what do you think Schrodinger's cat proves?
Schrodinger's cat is an experiment in which Schrodinger put his cat in a box.
Yeah.
And so there are two realities that exist, one where the cat is alive and one where the cat is dead.
Yes.
And in order to know, you have to open the box, so as long as the box is closed, the cat is both alive and dead.
Now that seems really weird, right? How can a cat be alive and dead? Because it's a matter of perception. It's also the idea that, and some spiritual thinkers think this, that maybe death is just waking up. So here's the idea. So in the Enlightenment, right? The Enlightenment, let's go back to objectivity. So objectivity thinks by observing the world, recording the world, testing the world, producing a hypothesis, measuring the world, you find reality. Yeah? That's basic Enlightenment Cartesian scientific thinking. What quantum theory proves, and Schrodinger's cat is an example of this, is how you measure the world, how you look at the world, changes the results. So you cannot say that all science produces the same reality. Because what measuring reality changes reality. Yeah? Measuring reality changes reality. Have I lost you? Does anybody want to ask anything? I'm going to show you the video. Thank you, Josh. Cool. Get some volume.
With a device that had a 50% chance of killing the cat.
Sorry, I'll just
in
go
the next
back
hour.
so that you can hear it all.
Austrian physicist Erwin Schrodinger is one of the founders of quantum mechanics, but he's most famous for something he never actually did, a thought experiment involving a cat. He imagined taking a cat and placing it in a sealed box with a device that had a 50% chance of killing the cat in the next hour. At the end of that hour, he asked, what is the state of the cat? Common sense suggests that the cat is either alive or dead, but Schrodinger pointed out that according to quantum physics, at the instant before the box is opened, the cat is equal parts alive and dead at the same time. It's only when the box is opened that we see a single definite state. Until then, the cat is a blur of probability, half one thing and half the other. This seems absurd, which was Schrodinger's point. He found quantum physics so philosophically disturbing that he abandoned the theory he had helped make and turned to writing about biology. As absurd as it may seem, though, Schrodinger's cat is very real. In fact, it's essential. If it weren't possible for quantum objects to be in two states at once, the computer you're using to watch this couldn't exist. The quantum phenomenon of superposition.
So that's really quite an exciting view. So let me just, I'll say this again, because I think, and for those of you that are studying media with me next term, this is going to be quite important.
The quantum phenomenon of superposition is a consequence of the dual particle and wave nature of everything. Computer you're using to watch this couldn't. If it weren't possible for quantum objects to be in two states at once, the computer you're using to watch this couldn't exist.
So, reality needs to be in two places at the same time in order for this computer to exist. Media always shows you a reality that's suspended in time. Yeah? You can watch a video of someone that's dead. Yeah? Right? So everything is a mix. It's not just everything that's recorded, everything that is through this screen produces two different realities. Well, at least two. Number one, the image and how you interpret it, but how you understand the image, how you understand the message at the same time. So that's two different realities right there. Yeah? What the image is presenting and what's in your mind. Yeah? And that's subjective. That's not objective, that's subjective.
The quantum phenomenon of superposition is a consequence of the dual particle and wave nature of everything. In order for an object to have a wavelength, it must extend over some region of space, which means it occupies many positions at the same time. The wavelength of an object limited to a small region of space can't be perfectly defined, though, so it exists in many different wavelengths at the same time. We don't see these wave properties for everyday objects because the wavelength decreases as the momentum increases.
In other words, what he's saying is that life is always changing. But with our left brain, we try to fix everything. We think it's always fixable. Yeah? But it's not true. Life is always changing. It's always moving.
And a cat is relatively big and heavy. If we took a single atom and blew it up to the size of the solar system, the wavelength of a cat running from a physicist would be as small as an atom within that solar system.
So the difference between an atom and a solar system. Okay, a couple of points here. When you go to the quantum level and you look inside a cell, what you discover is that most of the cell is space. It's just space of potential, but there's nothing there. So it's back to, is space potential or is it completely dead and empty? Yeah? Most of us are just space. Yeah? Just like the space out there. But we assume with our egos, according to Freud, that we are the most important thing in space. Yeah? That's narcissism. Yeah?
That's far.
Okay, I'll leave that there. We might come back to that on Thursday. Let's get back to the slides. Yeah. Sorry. Thank you. Okay, so let's try and relate a little bit more to what we talked about last week with regard to nature. So you'll remember that I used this quotation here about colonialism, and this tries to connect what I'm saying now with everything that we've said about colonialism on the course. So colonialism didn't just steal land, so that's the material, it also stole people's minds, their psychologies. Yeah? It rewrote the story of nature. It taught us to see the earth as something to dominate, a material entity that is to be dominated, that's even prescribed in the Holy Bible. Not something to belong to. So remember at the beginning of the lecture I said we're all visitors, we're all participatory, we're all participants in an animate, alive universe. Yes? The fight for decolonization is the fight to unlearn this lie and rebuild our relationship with the planet. Yeah? So what I'm trying to argue, and it's not just me, by the way, is that instead of understanding ourselves as individual objects in the universe, we are the universe experiencing, that word that you used, itself. We are the universe, so there is no difference between us and the universe. And if you actually understand that on a deep spiritual level, which isn't material, you're not afraid of death. Because you come from the universe and you go back to the universe. All nature understands this, but humans have forgotten. Who hasn't forgotten? Indigenous culture. They always knew. They always respected the earth. The right-brained culture, to bring in the Gilchrists. The right-brained culture always knew that we are the earth. Yeah? We're not above it. We are it. Yeah? So, just bringing in, I mentioned Carl Jung. How are we doing for time? Ooh, okay. So, I mentioned Carl Jung as being somebody who wrote incredibly well and interestingly about the human psyche, about psychology. Whenever we touch nature, we get clean. Now, think about this. People talk about, I think there's a Japanese word for forest bathing. Is that right, my Japanese friends? If you go into a forest, there's something called forest bathing. Have you got an expression in Japanese? I think there is one, but it just means if you go into a forest, it's very good for your mental well-being because you are at one with the trees and the plants. Is there a word? Sounds good to me. Anyway, so this is what Jung said. People get dirty through too much civilization. Same as Freud. Freud would agree with this. Civilization makes us dirty. Pollution, urbanization, greed, selfishness, egotism, money, industrialization, it's all dirty. Take a walk in the woods or a bath in the sea, entering the unconscious. So the idea that nature is the unconscious, it's not even separate from us, guys. Yeah? The danger is we're destroying the planet because we've made it separate. It's us. You destroy the planet, you destroy yourself. Entering yourself through dreams is touching nature from the inside. That's like the egg thing again. It's like from the inside, the inner journey, insight, Buddhist meditation. this is the same thing. Things are put right again. So there's a lot of hope in Jung's writing. Less hope, I would say, in Freud's. Now, let's stay with plants, because amazing... oops, I keep thinking chords over that. I don't even know what the word is for this guy, but you may have heard of him. He wrote a book called Entangled Life, Merlin Sheldrake, and he's particularly talking in the clip that I'm going to show you about under the ground. Yeah? And under the ground, in a forest, because we're talking about forests, aren't we? Under the roots of a tree plants, it's called a mycelium network. And what it means is in a forest, all the roots of trees and plants are connected through fungi. Yeah? Mycelium network. And what happens is they all work together like a participatory universe to help each other. So when a new seed starts growing, or when a little tree starts growing, the trees literally move back the branches so that the little tree can get more light. Yeah? And we talk about artificial intelligence being better than that. Sorry, we're making a huge mistake. The intelligence of nature is where we need to be. Yeah? Trees are incredibly intelligent. Anyway, let me show you this little clip because it's better than my boring voice. Thank you, Jesh.
The living world is connected by a vast kingdom of life. We are only just beginning to discover. Fungi are so much more than mushrooms.
Everywhere you look, there are stories unfolding around fungi. Connecting all life in the forest, but of all the fungal species on Earth, you've only described about 5%.
As you do research, you're seeing things that no one's ever seen before.
Fungi have the chemical arsenal to break down plastic.
Sounds way far out, but my long-term dream would be able to actually grow organs to sell them.
Yet we risk losing entire branches of the tree of life to extinction.
We're finding the library, a library of different ways to rise to the challenge of living.
If fungi have taught us anything, it's that those who can adapt survive. So how might we unravel their secrets to survive the radical change of our own times?
So what Björk, the singer, said there, whose voice you just heard, was that indigenous culture has always understood that a library is not a bunch of books. It's actually the intelligence that's in nature, in plants, herbal remedies, for example. And I'm going to show you a clip next of a South American indigenous woman. I think she may be a shaman, but I'm not completely sure. And so we need to re-understand, and now I'm linking with the education lecture. Education should be about teaching us to take care and participate in the universe in a compassionate way, and not to give in to this materialist idea that the capitalist machine is more important than life itself. Yeah? Because in actual fact, what we're doing as we become sucked into these screens and spending more time staring at screens, our phones, than sleeping or talking to each other, yeah, we're becoming depressed, we're becoming mentally ill. And nature is saying, hang on a minute, we have the answer. And we continue to just stare at the screen. I'm even using a screen here, right? So nobody escapes. Anyway, so let's hear from our Indigenous friend. Let's hear a female Indigenous voice and see if you... Now, before I play this, there's a couple of scenes in this from Palestine, so which are very disturbing, but I think we'll be okay. Hang on, I don't know if I can get it full screen.
Tua arma é tua voz.
What do I do?
Like zoom into the
How do I zoom?
control and then scroll up.
Do you want to come and do it? You see, brilliant.
Não é teu
So
amor.
much.
A tua alma é tua humildade, tua paciência. Essa arma que destrói, sabe, ela não constrói. Sabe, nada, ela só serve para destruir. Ninguém mais tem medo. Quem pode morrer, mas você não muda. Então a gente precisa lutar com outras armas, usar novas estratégias, né? E essa estratégia desse novo tempo, essa arma, é a nossa voz, as nossas alianças, essas alianças espirituais, que elas são, a gente se encontra como família, como irmão, cuida um do outro. A gente tira a cor da nossa pele, a língua que a gente fala, a cor, a gente se comunica com o coração, com o nosso pensamento.